Hello everyone, welcome back. We've got trade recaps to discuss. We just did our trade deadline video, and we're going to be doing 3 videos here discussing what trades went down and my opinion on all these trades. We'll get to all that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Talker channel. Before we get into it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you all for your support. I'll never know to with all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. And don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below discussing what I was discussing in today's video. Now, earlier today or tomorrow, whenever this gets to YouTube, we did our live trade deadline video. I thank you for all of your support. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, I highly suggest you check it out. I'll link it up in the YouTube cards. You can get my live reaction to most of the NHL trades that we saw happen on trade deadline day. So I ask that you guys definitely check that out. But we got 23 trades that happened on trade deadline day, and I'm going to be breaking them all down. We're going to talk about 8 trades in this video here. I'm going to make a part 2 video that's going to come out in a little bit, and I'm going to make a part 3 video that will come out later as well. So we've got 3 videos to talk about here today. We're going to talk about 8 specific trades here in this video. So we're going to start with one of the first ones that happened on trade deadline day, and that was the deal between the Washington Capitals and the Carolina Hurricanes. Deals as follows. The Carolina Hurricanes acquired Evgeny Kuznetsov with 50% of his contract retained, so a $3.9 million cap hit from the Washington Capitals in exchange for a 2025 third-round pick. So there was a lot of speculation out there that Kuznetsov was not going to be able to get dealt. He was most likely going to be bought out in the offseason. So the fact that they're able to move him here, even though they have to retain a little bit of salary, it's going to be able to be off of their books as early as not this upcoming offseason, but next offseason. So it's a fantastic piece of work there for the Capitals, and they're still able to get a 2025 third-round pick in return for it. So as much as Kuznetsov has been a really good member of that team, helped them win the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago, this is a pretty good move for the Capitals to get half of Kuznetsov's salary off their books and not have to buy him out in the offseason. So it's a pretty good move there for Washington, and they also get a third-round pick, so add some draft capital. So that's a pretty good move there for Washington. For the Carolina Hurricanes, adding Kuznetsov is fantastic. I mean, their center depth is a little bit lacking as of right now. I mean, they still have guys like Kotkaniemi, Drury, Stahl, so they're not doing overly bad behind Aho, but they could definitely use a little bit more improvements. Kuznetsov has experience, knows what it takes to help a team make it to the Stanley Cup final. He's a very good, versatile, and extremely talented top 6 center, so this is a very fantastic pickup there for the Carolina Hurricanes. I think he'll fit in extremely well with the Carolina Hurricanes, and a fresh start I think could be exactly what Kuznetsov needs. I mean, the last couple of years have not been really kind to Evgeny Kuznetsov. After having a 78-point season in 79 games 2 years ago, he's only put 55 points in 81 games last year. He went to the Players Assistant Program this year, only put 17 points in 43 games, so not overly good seasons over the past little while for Kuznetsov, so a fresh start is going to help him out tremendously. So that's a pretty good move there for the Carolina Hurricanes to add Kuznetsov at half of his salary. And I think if he can produce like he did a couple of years ago, this will be a fantastic move there for the Hurricanes. So just to recap, Carolina gets Kuznetsov at half of his salary retained. In exchange, Capitals get a third-round pick, so that's a pretty good move there for both sides. Then we saw the Panthers make a trade. Florida wound up acquiring forward Kyle Okposo from the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Kalle Sejalin and a 2024 7th-round pick that's conditional. Could upgrade to a 5th-round pick if the Panthers win the Stanley Cup. So for the Panthers, this is a really good move. It's not too much out of an ask. Okposo's a really good bottom 6 forward. I mean, he's in the final year of a $2.5 million deal. I mean, a couple of years ago, he had a really good season, picking up 45 points. Last year, only had 28 points. So far this year, has 12 goals and 22 points in 61 games. He's not an overly flashy addition, and he's also not an extremely talented forward at this point in time, but he's a solid bottom 6 player, and in a 4th or 3rd line role with the Panthers, I think he could do fantastic. So there's no money retained on that salary. It's just Kyle Okposo, so it's a very fantastic pickup there for the Sabres. For the Panthers, well, the Sabres, meanwhile, they pick up prospect Kalle Sejalin, so it's a pretty good pickup there for the Sabres. He was a 17th 5th-round pick of the New York Rangers, never played for New York. It's been in the AHL for the Panthers the past couple of seasons. Put up 8 points in 39 games last year. So far, put up 3 points, 3 assists in 22 games this year. So it's a pretty good pickup there for the Sabres. And like we said, they also get that 7th-round pick that could turn into a 5th-rounder if the Panthers win the Cup. So all in all, that's a pretty good move there for the Sabres and for the Panthers. The Sabres are probably not going to bring back Okposo. He was a really good leader. He was a captain, so losing him is a pretty bad thing for them. But Okposo's going to get a chance to win the Cup with Florida in the bottom 6 role, while the Panthers do move a decent level low-end pick, 5th or 7th, and a decent prospect in Kalle Sejalin for him. So it's a pretty good pickup there for the Sabres, but it's a decent trade for both sides. Next, you had the Florida Panthers make another small deal, acquiring depth goaltender Magnus Hellberg from the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for Ludwig Weber and a 2025 7th round pick that's conditional. Still know the conditions on that pick, but the Penguins, for a decent depth goaltender, Hellberg was brought on to be a third stringer, was brought on a 1-year deal. So to move him in exchange for adding a decent draft pick, it's fine for them. So they get a 7th round pick in 2025. They also get prospect Ludwig Weber. Now Weber, at this point in time, he's a goaltending prospect. He's 27 years old. He's most likely probably not going to make the NHL at this point in time. He's been splitting time over in the ECHL and the AHL. He's been putting up some decent numbers. Didn't have a really good game in the ECHL. So far as 87 save percentage in 15 AHL games. So it's a pretty good pickup there for the Penguins. But once again, it's a player who's probably not going to play for their team. Meanwhile, for the Panthers, Hellberg's in the final year of his deal. Was brought in by Pittsburgh to be the third stringer this year. Has worked out pretty well. I mean, he's gone to 3 NHL games this year, putting up a 2.50 GA and a 922 save percentage. And has a 905 save percentage in 19 AHL games. So he looks like a pretty good player. He should be able to be a solid depth goaltender there for the Florida Panthers. So all in all, that's a pretty good pickup there for the Panthers. So just to recap, Hellberg, a depth goaltender, goes to Florida in exchange for Weber and a 2025 7th round pick. And we saw the New Jersey Devils make 2 goaltending moves, and we'll touch on both of these right here. So first, the Devils acquired Jake Allen with 50% of his contract retained, so a $1.925 million AAV deal from the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for moving a conditional 2025 third round pick. The condition is on that conditional 2025 third round pick that as long as Allen plays in 40 or more games in 24-25 and qualifies for the playoffs with the team he's on in 24-25 season, that pick upgrades to a second round pick. So it's a third round pick that could become a second round pick for the Canadiens, so it's a pretty good pickup there. And then we saw the Devils move 2025 7th round pick, their own, as well as Vitek Vanecek to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for goaltender Kaapo Kähkönen. So they completely changed up their goaltending position. I think that's a pretty good move there for them. For Allen, he's not had a really good season. He has a sub 900 save percentage, and he's only gone to 20 NHL games, being sort of the third stringer in the Montreal Canadiens system with Montembeault and Primo. So he hasn't really gone to a consistent NHL role, but I think in New Jersey he should be able to definitely be a consistent NHL player, definitely a starter most likely for them. So that's a pretty good pickup there for the Devils. I know the Canadiens were probably looking for a little bit of a bigger return, but they were able to get a third round pick, potentially a second round pick, so it's a pretty good deal for the Canadiens. I think it's a win-win deal in my opinion. For the Kähkönen and the Vanecek deal, that's another pretty decent deal for both those sides. Kähkönen's depending UFA, he's not going to be brought back by the San Jose Sharks, so they're able to get someone who they can at least keep for the next little while, so that's a pretty good pickup there for the Devils. I mean, Allen can be their starter for now, Kähkönen can be the backup, they can work as a tandem. Kähkönen can then leave as a free agent in the offseason, and then the Devils can go after one of those big starters like an Ullmark or Markstrom or something like that in the offseason, and then have Allen be the backup. So it's a pretty good move there for the Devils to sort of revamp their goaltending situation. For the Sharks, they get Vanecek. He's actually been a pretty decent goaltender for them. He's put up a 3.18 GAA and an 890 save percentage in 32 games this year. He's not had as good of a season as he did last year, but he's definitely been a really solid goaltender. So the Sharks are able to get Vanecek, and he's signed not only for this year but for next year too. So the Sharks now have both Vanecek and Blackwood signed for next year. So their goaltending situation is set for next little while. So it's a pretty good move there for the Sharks, and they also get a 7th round pick to take on the extra salary. So pretty good move there for San Jose. Then we also saw a couple of other moves, more depth moves at this point in time. We saw New York Rangers acquire Nick Petan from the Minnesota Wild in exchange for Turner Elson. Elson's basically an AHL player. Petan's a fringe NHLer. He can potentially be a solid call-up option, but most likely he's going to be an AHL player in New York, so it's a decent swap of forwards. We also saw Ben Meyers, who was a former player of the Colorado Avalanche, be traded to the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for a 2024 5th round pick. Now, after the additions that the Avalanche made earlier this week, there's not really much room for Meyers as like a bomb 6 addition for that team, so they move him and they're able to get a 5th round pick in return, so it's a pretty good pickup there. Meanwhile, for Ben Meyers, he has been an okay prospect. He's gone to 53 NHL games, putting up 6 goals. Done pretty good so far this year, as a goal in 9 games of NHL action and 11 goals and 25 points in 32 games of AHL action. So he should be able to be a solid bomb 6 forward, especially on a team like Anaheim that's definitely lost a little bit of their depth after moving Henrique and Carrick. So that's a pretty good pickup there for the Colorado Avalanche to get a 5th round pick, but it's also a really good pickup there for the Ducks to get a solid bomb 6 forward. And then we also saw the Arizona Coyotes make a move, a stunning one. I thought he would have gone a little bit more on the trade market, but the Nashville Predators acquired Jason Zucker from the Arizona Coyotes for 2024 6th round pick. A 6th round pick is definitely really underwhelming. I thought Zucker would have gotten like a 2nd or maybe a 3rd. So getting a 6 is really underwhelming for the Coyotes, but they do give up Zucker. Zucker's going to Nashville. That should be a solid addition there for the Predators. They already added Bouvillier. They added Anderson Dolan. So adding Zucker is a pretty decent trade package there for the Nashville Predators. Zucker's not had the best of seasons, 9 goals, 25 points, 51 games. He's definitely done all right this year, but not as good as last year when he had 48 points in 78 games with the Penguins. So it's a pretty decent trade. I thought Zucker would have gotten more for him, but there's a nice trade there for the Predators. So just to recap, Zucker goes to Nashville, Meyers goes to Anaheim, Nick Petan goes to New York Rangers, Allen and Kakinen both go to New Jersey, Hellberg and Okposo both go to Florida, and Kuznetsov goes to Carolina. So those are the trades we're going to touch on here. Don't forget to stay tuned for part 2 and part 3 that I'm going to be putting out in the not too distant future. That's all I'm going to talk about in this video. Don't forget to like this video, and if you're like to subscribe down below, and don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on who you thought won these deals down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk about for today. Don't forget to also do a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that, so if you check that out, leave a link to that in the description below, and I can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.